You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging with you guys. Good morning. We have part two, a little bit of an encore here for the podcast that we were doing with Caleb and Brittany Auman, joined today in the company cam studio. We are by remote, zooming in, hanging out with the couple extraordinaire kid contractors. Caleb and Brittany, how you guys doing?
The couple extraordinaire. I like that. We're good, man. Brittany, how are you?
I'm great.
Wonderful. Thanks, Brian, for having us on.
We're super excited about having you guys on. We're doing a little bit of a debrief. We just did part one, I guess you could call it, on the Kid Contractor podcast. So make sure you guys go check that out. We are fresh back from Together in the Trades. We're going to do a little debrief. It'll probably be a short and sweet one here, maybe 20, 30 minutes at the most, because Liz ordered Panera bread and we need to eat today and also make sure the kids are fed or there'll be a mutiny in the camper and grandma will get eaten alive. So that being said, we're going to jump into it here. Really quick, for some context, Liz, you want to talk about Together in the Trades? What is it? Where are we coming from? And just give them a little highlight over the weekend, maybe.
Well, if they listen to the episode first on the Kid Contractor.
Well, maybe they haven't listened to that episode yet, Elizabeth.
So Together in the Trades. Grace Bell. Together in the Trades conference, or retreat now, really, is a retreat that we put on together with the Aumans for couples in business together. If your spouse owns a business, if you work in the business with your spouse, just to come together. You know, everybody always talks about it's a busy season. I don't have any time. It's all about making the time you don't think you have together with your spouse. And we bring in not only people from the industry to give perspective on, kind of their story, things that they've learned, but also real marriage professionals. Brad and Tammy from Tandem Marriage have been there all 4 years to kind of keep things on the rails, keep things professional. And this was our fourth year doing it. First on the water, in the middle of the Caribbean, which was so cool. And each year it travels around to a different place. And it's been pretty great. Next year will be our fifth year. We will have details coming about that, I think.
Next week or two.
Probably by the end of the month.
Probably next couple weeks, yeah, end of August. So really, really good time. A 3-day adventure down to Fort Lauderdale always sounds good to me. Celebrity cruise, solid, 6.5 out of 10. Not the best, not the worst, but
I think it was that.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. They were nice, very accommodating. A bad cruise beats a good day in Michigan any day.
Any day.
So we'll take that. So, Caleb, you're going to add something?
I was just laughing at your takeaway there on that. That was funny.
Yeah, I was going to say a bad cruise, it beats probably any day in Michigan or Ohio, I would imagine.
How dare you.
That being said, Caleb, Brittany, we'll go through the second day, day two. But I'll just maybe get the macro if they didn't listen to your guys' show just yet. What was your guys' biggest takeaways? What did you guys think about the event, the conference? And we'll break down the speaker list here in just a minute.
Hey, folks, I'm Caleb and my wife, Brittany here. My wife, Brittany Auman here. We have a small landscape design build company.
You give me the Borat voice, and Brian gives Liz, my wifey for lifey, and it's so, loving and sweet, and I get Borat.
No one's seen the meme of, the woman crying, and it's the context, or the text is
about love?
Me practicing my Borat voice in the shower for 2 hours before we go out.
Sorry, guys. Okay,
it's the
go
same
ahead.
type of love. It's the same type of love. He just communicates it differently, and you have to recognize that, Brittany.
Thank you, Brian.
That's what.
See, Brittany?
I don't have to agree. I have to understand.
There you go,
man! Right?
Oh, she's coming armed and dangerous. Oh my God!
Yeah. So that was a thing. That was a Brad and Tammy thing, right? Of it's not. We don't have to agree always, but we do need to understand where the other person is coming from, right?
Borat. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, that was a good.
Liz doesn't like that. Yeah. We'll do a whole other show on that. Liz, I said that line to Liz about 5 months ago before we talked with Brad and Tammy. We were talking about something.
Talked to Brad and Tammy
and I said,
it.
I just don't agree with you. And she goes, well, why not? She goes, our marriage falling apart. I go, no, we just don't agree. And up until about 5 months ago, we had agreed pretty much on every single thing in life. And I go, I just disagree. And she goes, well, you can't. I go, totally.
No, we had disagreements before. We could always just
work them out
and then end up not only understanding, but agreeing. And now that we can understand but not agree, I don't like it. I get it and I understand it.
All right, you're taking their time. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. Sorry,
Brittany, what was your takeaway from Together?
Well, can you tell these people who they are?
Well, they're great people. They have a great business in Ohio.
Why is our show such a train wreck? Theirs was so professional.
No, it wasn't. Caleb talked about
it. Caleb was wearing off.
Caleb talked. It was Caleb's show.
My How the Turns table.
I don't know. We went on the cruise. The cruise was great. I loved it because everyone had something to do all the time. And a big thing was this year we were able to all eat together. In the past, like everyone has to go off in like groups of 4 or 6, and they have a hard time locating a place to fit 50 people.
Right.
So
that was good,
I just feel like this year, like we said, it was a smaller group, but I feel it was more connecting for everyone. And
I feel like everybody got to know everybody. And I think eating together, like we were saying, Brittany, like breaking bread together with somebody is just in its own, like such an impactful thing. And being on the same ship, like you really are all stuck together.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be a thing for future things, and I shouldn't even mention it, but it would be a neat thing to do at least one big catered meal, like be it lunch right after or something like that, one big communal meal. That'd be neat. But again, myself, and I can take no credit for this thing, it's Brian, Brittany, and Liz. I really don't do anything for this event. And so again, my hat's off to you folks for making this whole thing happen, because it is quite a logistics debacle every year, different location. It'd be one thing if it was the same place every year. It'd be a little more systematized, I believe. But you folks have to come up every year with like a new venue, a new caterer, or new everything, right? And so that takes a lot of effort. And so a big thank you to you guys for making that happen. What were like key takeaways? Key takeaways was the original question. Is that right?
Your key takeaway.
It's Brian's show.
Yeah.
Wait, who?
Quiet.
Okay.
Go, Brian.
Take it away, Brian.
Well, what was your guys' takeaway from the event for you guys personally? I know we got some of the speakers, and again, we're piggybacking off of the first episode we did on your guys' show. But forgive me if you got any listeners that haven't went to part 1 yet. But what was your guys' takeaway from the conference? Any things that you're taking away to apply in your life, your marriage, your business, like tools or resources or thoughts?
I think the understanding agreement thing was just a good almost mortaring of blocks I have in place, and as far as like thinking about things that way. And then the other end of it, I think my big takeaway from the weekend was more of, and it's kind of maybe more where we're at the moment, but was like how important it is that we continue to delegate more and hire out more, I say trivial or petty services, but just little things that we don't really have time to do, that if we do them, it takes away from what little family time we have, i.e., it is killing me to hire somebody to mow my own grass at the house. The thought of that is just driving me bonkers. But we have somebody mowing a shop. It's wonderful, because if we hadn't done that, the grass would now be about 34 inches tall for 3 months. But like, I'm kicking around doing it at the house. But every time I go home and fix something at the house, because we all know as much as we're all working and hard as we're all working, like we're going home to work on something. And if I got to fix something or mow the freaking hill or string trim or whatever, like that's time that I'm telling Zeke no. He's like, Dad, can you kick the ball with me in the backyard? No, Zeke, I gotta weed whack a stupid freaking hill instead. And like that was been a big push for me this year. And also financially, like we haven't been at that position in too recent of past to be able to be like, this is a conversation we can really have of hiring out a lot of stuff that allows us to maximize my time. And to get heavy on it, I look back at the age the kids are now. Addison is 10, and I don't remember any of it. It's gone. It's a blink of the eye. It's history. And she's going to be 20 in the same blink. I'm gonna close my eyes after this podcast. She's going to be 20 years old moving out. And like, I really need to make sure I prior towards that time. Yeah, I know. Jeez, didn't mean to get heavy here. God. But that's a driver now. It's like, we've got to pony up, and I've got to be able to make this kind of money, to make more money and stuff we want to do. I've got to be more productive with my time. And that was like my huge takeaway for the weekend, really. I've really got to commit to this. Yeah. Daggone. Thanks.
Brittany, we're going right to you. I got to ask. You got the watery eyes are working. Usually we're the ones that cry on stage.
Yeah, this is a nice.
So this is a change of pace. I'm like, man, pull it together, you saps. But
I cried on stage, and Liz was like, "Don't look at me."
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that was really funny.
I was going to say, Caleb didn't do his Brittany, your thoughts, because Brittany's got the waterworks. I'm like, great, that's what I need out of Zoom. It's
so that was my big takeaway. Yeah. I mean, I was making a lot of notes on the plane, and I wrote services on my hand of like people I'm calling today. And I actually called 2 different people today. I called a handyman guy I'm looking for and somebody else. The next big thing, which was a takeaway from LAL, even coming up on a year now, we've been dragging our feet on this decision, is hiring a salesman / designer to free up our time to be more visionary in the company. But yeah, I started executing on that, on the little things from the weekend. I was so adamant about thinking about. So yeah, Britt, your thing, and I had other takeaways. Don't get it wrong, for sure. But another thing was the breakdown of the humanity of it. Like, you kind of start looking at the world of like everybody's an NPC kind of thing, this non-player character or whatever. And then you start to talk, you get reconnected with regular people again. And like ourselves, of course, but it's like, there's people taking care of elderly parents. There's people dealing with just like crazy problems. And you're just like, gosh, everybody's got a story, and everybody's dragging around so much crap that they're fighting through and struggling through. And it's just like a reminder of like, people are good, man. They're working hard. And that's one thing with the whole lawn care and hardscape and green industry community on Instagram and stuff, of like, it reminds me of just the good of society. Like, guys just working hard, trying to figure it out to pursue something. And to get around everybody, which I love, always getting around the community. It's just so fulfilling. And people are good, and they're trying. Brittany, your thoughts?
I yield my time to Brian.
The speaker yields your time.
I just, I got to piggyback on that, if you don't mind me asking. Like, what was your takeaway that Caleb was talking about, the first, season of your guys' life and kids' life? Caleb's like, I just got to make time for memories, and I can't believe the kids are you guys said the kids are at such a perfect age. Liz and I remind ourselves all the time, like, this is the good life. Like, this is the what's the saying? Like, this is the good years.
These are the good
old days. Like,
and Caleb, as somebody who has never missed a single day of their kids' lives, I like literally maybe a chunk of hours a day I might miss here and there. It's still not enough. It is never going to be enough. Right. Like, it's just making the most of the time that you have. Right. So don't beat yourself up. Yeah, don't get too sad about that. Because I think everybody in every different role still somehow feels the same.
And that's the thing. I think it's trying to not miss it over like stuff that could be, it's one thing if like Britt and I travel, like the goal of that is for us to be enriching each other in those trips, or, stuff like that, for that example. But like me to spend the whole evening weed whacking a hillside, there's no gain from that. Like, you know what I mean? That doesn't enrich anyone. I mean, I don't mind the physical activity of it. There's still physical activity around the place that I could do that I won't hire out kind of deal. But like, there's some trivial stuff I'm still finding myself doing that, like, I should not be doing this. And it's taking me away from playing soccer and things like that. Jeez, dude, this is not the way this is supposed to go. And so like, yeah, I mean, it was a real wake up call to me, I think. And it was like AJ last year talking about, everybody brags about how much they work, but nobody brags about how much time they spend with their family, and it's like, geez, yeah. That stuck with me, man, since that knife's still in my gut thinking about that one. Like, yeah.
So
is it a perspective change, like what you thought was winning versus what was actually winning, or just maybe you got around other folks that think differently? Like, can you guys quantify that thought?
I think for me, it's the alignment of several things, right? It's the alignment of career, where we're at, like things are getting into places, financially, and then also aligning with that is mindset. Absolutely. Getting around people that have been doing this, like you guys have been doing a lot of this stuff, and we've been watching, and mentors and coaches around us that have been saying that, reading and listening to podcasts and things. And like, and probably for everyone in life, it's an alignment of these things, right? Your own mental understanding and capability of understanding. When you hear these things, a lot of times, a lot of stuff isn't aligned to make it totally click, like a Rubik's Cube or something, maybe. Like, here's these little dots of information floating around, and eventually they all start to line up and start to make a pattern or make, one solid color. And then it clicks. You're like, yeah, it's the money is there. Cool. My thought process is there finally. And the practicality of it, of like, it's, me not weed whacking a hillside, for example, doesn't make sense when Zeke wants to play ball. So, yeah, I think it's just a combination of things. Because there's things I know I need to do now that I just financially can't do.
Well,
right?
I think
And
I think
and there's other things I know I need to do, but I'm not mentally there yet either. Like I'm not in the right headspace to make some commitments to some things too. And I need to work on myself to allow these things. Brittany, sorry.
I think when we were super broke, we were together and super broke, and we knew what kind of lifestyle we envisioned for ourselves and with the kids, and we wanted a nice house and we wanted a nice shop. And I think as we've started to achieve those goals, we're still working just as hard as we were when we were super broke. And to a point, that's a good thing. But at the same time, I think we have a hard time letting ourselves let other people step in to do those things now that we can afford them when we couldn't afford them before. But letting other people do that so we can spend the time with the kids that we always dreamt of spending.
Right. And with each other too. We can't rule that out, of course.
Right. So yeah, just perspective and mindset and financial. We're just at a different place and adjusting to that different place.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
What's important to you now?
Time. Time is the most valuable thing that I have at the moment.
Which is for everyone, right? Like it's no different for anyone, right? Like no matter what strata you're in, and from Jeff Bezos down to 16-year-old kid, whatever. And so like so what is important now? What I think it is maximizing what's in front of us as we have it now. That's what's important to me, at least right now. If I'm really trying to maximize my mindset as it is, and with the resources I have in front of me to keep stumbling forward or falling forward, if you will. And so that's what's important to me right now, is really trying to be as optimal as I can. And gosh, there's so many places I still am just so slacking on.
We met an older couple on the boat at one of the dinners, and they said they were in their 60s or 70s. And we told them, like, we like to travel and that we did this marriage conference. And they're like, travel now. Like, traveling when you're 70 with a walker is not fun. And they told us to enjoy it and to enjoy the children. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's part of why we do, like, the cool thing about Together in the Trades. I know we've talked about, like, keeping it stationary or, at least revisiting the past 4 places. But at the same time, like, what an opportunity that we're able to help people go see places all over the country that they might not see otherwise.
Yeah. Like Liz said, there's never, though it's not a good time to travel, there's never a good time to get away from the business. Right. And that's so true. One thing I do want to say, though, because this is just the Dave Auman in me. Show. I know. This is the one thing, the Dave Auman thing, and that's my dad. But he's like, but he, I do want to pump the brakes a little bit on the YOLO thing. Because there is, you can't, let's go travel now and spend a bunch, there's still, don't enjoy your youth at the expense of your future at the same time. Like, we still, like, easy on the YOLO. I'm just saying this maybe to myself and just everybody in general. Take all that with a grain of salt. You can't just YOLO the life away. We've got to still make sure that we're prepared for the future. When I am in a walker and you want to push me off a cliff because I'm so whatever, Britt. But, like... Cause imagine how much of a pain crabby butt I'm going to be then. But, I do want to throw that little bit of, and again, that's just my very conservative nature. Like, we do still have to be, YOLO, but carefully.
More of the conversation between Brian, Liz, Caleb, and Brittany is coming up.
Get ready for the event of the year. L'Entrepreneur Academy Live 2024 is coming to Novi, Michigan, the weekend of November 2nd. Prepare for a high-energy day packed with expert sessions on cash flow management, business automation, client retention, marketing strategies, and so much more. Our powerhouse lineup of speakers includes Sam Rankin, Pat Murray, Ken Deemer, Brian Fullerton, Sam Gimbel, Mark Bradley, and Jeff Joyner. You'll connect with industry leaders, snag incredible giveaways, and skyrocket your business. Plus, don't miss our epic Friday night mixer for top-tier networking and fun. For those who want to enhance their experience, register for our exclusive Sunday masterclass sessions on November November 3rd, featuring Jeff Joyner, Mark Bradley, and Sam Gimbel. These intensive 3-hour classes are limited to just 20 seats each, giving you personalized expert advice from the best in the business. Hurry, secure your Saturday tickets for only $249 right on through September 17th. Then the price jumps to $297. Visit L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com to register and reserve your masterclass spot for an additional fee. Isn't it time you grew your business? Don't miss L'Entrepreneur Academy Live. There's a link in the show description.
And that's like a whole podcast episode on its own. We're going to get to the trades debrief on another episode. No, I'm just kidding. But,
no kidding.
That's really, really good. That's really good stuff. I think that's why I'm such an advocate of like Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time book. And I've been saying stuff like that for 5 years, man. But like the way he articulated it is the best I've ever seen. And actually a friend of yours, Ken Deemer, Local Roots, we were talking and he's like, what's the best business book you've read lately? And I said, there's only one book everybody needs to read. It's Buy Back Your Time. I said, you can read a bunch of other great books, but I said, just read that for 5 years and you'll be just fine. And you'll figure out people and business and finance and life and relationships and marriage along the way. But I'm like, if you want to make one book your business Bible, it's that book. And it's not just hire out people at a lower level so you can go perform at a higher level. It's not just like that, or not even lower level, just an opportunity cost, delta. But it's just like, dude, the point of it is get back your time. And I often get roasted. Well, he doesn't have a real business, or he's never in the field, or he's not in the field anymore. I'm like, well, what's the goal? Like you just said, Caleb, like what did AJ say? Is the goal to be in the field, or is the goal to make money and go spend time with your family? Like right. What's the real goal here? And I'm like, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. If I spend too much in the field, that's apparently winning. But if I spend less time in the field, build a team, still make decent money, and I can take my kids to soccer or gymnastics at 2 p.m. or 4 p.m. on a weekday, is that a bad thing? And it's like, dude, we got to remember like what the real goal here is. And I think getting around these environments really help you reprioritize what's important. And it's like you said, it's a little bit of a true north checkup from the neck up. Like, am I being a good spouse? Do I have work I can do and work on myself? Is there things that we can work together better as a couple? And other couples that have been there, done that, like how can we learn and glean from them? Like what's some good tools or resources or systems or practices to like give us that better life? So I couldn't agree more. And I think that really helps us all align with True North. But let's do this. We'll do a little 10-minute debrief on some of the speakers. And we'll go quick because, again, like Caleb said on the first episode, how can you wrap up
an entire dissertation?
Yeah, you can't wrap up 10 hours without talking about 10 hours worth of stuff. So I think we'll just keep it pretty light. We'll just rip through it really quick. First off was Jason and Tracy Creel. They were really, really fun, relatable, as always. And they gave some great advice about, well, I got my thoughts, but Caleb and Brittany, you guys are our guests on our show. So I'll give you guys the podium if you want to give your two thoughts, maybe with Jason and Tracy real quick.
Well, Tracy, I would say, again, is another, and she's no older than us, but her poise and everything is just so, again, maternal, like, I say elder, I don't mean elder, but I mean just like she is just like that mother. We all have our moms and we love our moms, or whatever, but she's like that other mother you didn't have. I don't know. She's like your aunt or something. Maybe let's go with that. Your auntie.
I laughed so much during their talk, mostly because it was so relatable. But like,
yeah, Jason is one of the most. I've been thinking about this. He's one of the most unintentionally funny guys ever. Or Jason's like, yeah, he's writing a speech out. This will be funny. Like I can't tell if he like means these punchlines that actually hit as hard as they do, or if he's like, oh, I don't know, I suppose it might be funny, or he doesn't think about it being funny at all, and they just drops these lines like hammers that are so funny, man. They kill me. I love it when those guys talk. So,
but they talked a lot about the transition from what they were like when they got married to what they are now as they've grown their family and moved to different places and, started different companies. And so I like that perspective because Tracy hasn't always been part of the business. And I think it was really cool to see how their life has transformed.
Yeah. For sure.
There are also people. I'll shut up. Brittany gave me.
They're trying to make it.
Oh,
quick.
sorry. Yep, I'm done.
No, you're good. You're good.
This is what
I mean, we
we
can
do.
go on course forever for all this, but we'll shift gears because not to rapid through it, but what was next? Was it Vermeer?
Vermeer.
Yeah, Vermeer.
Vermeer, which shout out to Vermeer and Synced Up for sponsoring Together the Trades. Couldn't do without them for sure.
They're both legacy sponsors too, which to get a company to sponsor a marriage conference is already hard enough. To get a company on board to continuously sponsor a marriage conference year after year, like we just appreciate their buy-in to our like dream and their vision for this. And just
our priorities were their priorities.
We align so
really
well with
good.
these two companies. Vermeer, I never knew was such a family oriented company, and everybody they've ever sent to help us with this conference day of and stuff has been so just gracious and kind and aligned and invested in the event. Like they don't just come and for their little slot speak and leave. They were there the whole time, so like they were part of the group with us.
Yeah, they came to everything. Like you couldn't be more thankful for their contribution. And the guy was funny too, Ryan.
Ryan was hilarious.
He was great.
He was a very dynamic speaker.
What did he say? He was an aspiring pastor in a previous life.
Something.
He would have did pretty well, I think. We'll shift gears from that. But again, we always thank sponsors that do events. I always tell folks, some people call them necessary evil or just whatever, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm sure glad our ticket's a couple $100 versus 800 to 1,000 because they literally do subsidize the events. Like nobody's getting rich off of these things. Trades, LAL, I promise you that. If so, I'll get the Lambo. You can all drive in it. But I don't have the Lambo yet, so there you go. So the writing's on the wall. Who's next after trades?
The Brenzels. They had their second half of their speech, and oh my goodness, this one gut checked everyone. Gut checked me. They went through some of the
stressors,
catastrophic events that have happened in their business, and I'm like, okay. Our problems aren't so bad.
You guys got to get them on for a separate show just to tell that whole last 36 months story. But
they always stretch me. Like I don't think I've ever been around either of them and not been. First of all, I beat myself up because I'm like, I am so dumb. And then secondly, I'm like, we have so much more that we can achieve in life.
They don't make you feel dumb.
They don't intend to. No.
What they're accomplishing at life, you just realize, man, there's bigger fish. So. Almonds, what's your guys' thoughts? Brittany, what do you think?
The stresses thing, it's just so relatable. Like, it's, and AJ always says it could be because, the imposter syndrome kicks in with us. And it's like, oh, your guys' company is $14 million and we're like struggling to get to $1 million. And it's just like, it's all the same. It's just zeros. And I'll talk to Alicia consistently and she's like, oh, this happened today and this happened. I'm like, how do you fix that? I don't understand where the money comes from to pay for that. I want to buy a skid steer and it's like a life or death situation here for the company and they have one catch on fire and they have one the next day. It's like, I just don't understand. Yeah. But so just listening to them.
But to give that context and relatability, when I was starting up mowing and stuff, that's loud.
AJ's calling me right now to tell me another machine is on fire.
For real?
Just kidding. I don't know if that passed through.
But it's all relative, Britt. Like we don't think anything of buying like a string trimmer now or anything. But like when I was 16, starting my company, $180 string trimmer, which God knows what they are now. That was a mountain of money. Or if I lost one or got backed over and had to buy a new string trimmer, dude, that's a problem. I don't have $180. I need to not pay my phone bill this month to buy a new string trimmer to replace the one that got destroyed. So it's all relative with zeros on it, no matter what level you're at. And the age doesn't matter. It's just what phase of business or life you're in. And those stresses all can feel the same. And even life or death stuff. Don't disrespect, how dangerous mowers can be and stuff. It's not, you're not working on a 2,000 PSI pipeline, but you can still roll a mower over and get yourself in a lot of trouble. So,
well, I'll tell you one thing that really related to me, and this is just me being like, probably very candid and transparent. Like when we got back yesterday, I got off the airplane and we get back home. Of course, it was already getting late in the afternoon. I was like, everything just made you like, I felt like the elephant foot back on my chest within about 2 hours of landing. Life came back at me really quick last night. I told Liz, I'm like, have I been operating under this level of stress the last 5 months, 6 months, 12 months? And I told her, I said, I think I literally had a mini panic attack coming back into our life with just our obligations. And it was absolutely crazy. But that's why you can't just read a marriage book, in my opinion, and like have a better marriage. You got to like go back to an environment like this and pull away for 2-3 days. The women are being extremely distracting.
It is so hard to focus. What is going on?
Like this is just unacceptable. No, I'm just kidding. But what's oh my God, that's so awesome. So the
well, now I gotta open my phone to see what's going on. Jeez.
Don't say
anything. Yeah. So there's nothing I'm going to be able to say to recover. So it was the reason you go to these things is because you get put into a different environment where you can have great things happen to be able to pull mentally away from the business or life circumstances. And I just wanted to share that really quick because AJ was talking about stress and life and business. And then, you get home, boom, it all hits you, stress, life, and business. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to like still remember the things I learned over the weekend as I bring that back to what is reality. So they talked about a bunch of other great stuff too, stress, keeping each other in the loop, how they communicate better to each other. And really they played more on the 5 love languages and working at communicating more effectively together. And also what they need and don't need to hear about with the company. Like AJ's like, I don't need to know this, this, and this. And there's a time and a place for everything.
When to communicate.
Or more specifically, when to communicate. So,
which I always can use a lesson.
We can both use a lesson, and that's a fact. There's times we just dump on each other. Liz is like, cool, I'm getting the kids ready for dinner or bath. Like, can you pick another time?
I'm actively dealing with a blowout diaper situation. I don't need the financial report right now.
And there's times where I'm like, hey, we have an $11,000 bill next week that's due. And she's like, cool. I was going to ask you if you want to go book a Disney trip. And I mean, who would do that? You know what I mean? But
not me. Never me.
No.
But it's all,
which Jason and Tracy,
they have some great
loved
lessons.
Their lessons, except for the travel budget conversation.
I think I'm going to talk to Jason about it though, because I think there needs to be some wiggle room in there. And I tried to talk to him about it. And, he walked away.
If you know, you know. Caleb, any final thoughts on AJ and Alicia? Any of your guys' takeaways?
I always just like with all the speakers, I love the openness and honesty, and I won't put it out here publicly because I feel like it's more of a private thing. But some of the stuff they said they had trouble with as they were building their house was really relatable and cool to hear. And I think it just so much helps people understand, like, wow, $14 million company and still having a problem like that. That's crazy, right? Like, it's so nice of them to share that. It's so nice of them to share that because a lot of folks think you hit a certain level and your problems are gone, and it's so not the case.
Same with you guys building your house. After watching them build their house and watching you build your house and building our shop, I feel like I'm really prepared to build a house, but I know we're not. Like I know I'll still be crying at the driveway driving to the house and like I hate this place.
Yeah, their last 7 minutes of I asked a question like, what was, because their business had some struggles, and I asked them like in the thick of it, how was your mental? And they shared, you had to be there. I'm not going to give that away.
Yeah.
You can't give them everything, but like that last 7 minutes was enough for me to be like, yep, this trip was worth it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't any like marching orders. It was just, again, me being able to relate to somebody. And like, AJ's a man's man, and like for him to be like, dude, we were struggling, and for me to be like, yeah, it's I know a little elusive if you're just listening secondhand on a podcast, but like it's just you gotta go to these things. And I always say, like, people who go to these conferences and events are just in a better mental headspace. Like they know things you don't know, and that's why you gotta go. And it's not the $250 it costs to go to something, it's the $25,000 lesson that it's worth to you, and that's where you gotta always keep things in mind when you're trying to invest into an event or a conference or a seminar or something like that. So yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah. And to maybe wrap up with you guys too, because I don't know if you're going to bring it, and I know Panera's knocking at the door probably. But again, the same thing with your folks, closing out was, always so good to hear the openness, and things like you've been sharing with a lot of stuff, but, falling forward, right? We're having problem. We're always falling forward, right? Or stumbling forward, right? and expenses, and everybody sees the YouTube stuff and the shiny, awesome plow trucks and all that stuff, and then to bring the reality of it back, we're still a small business. We still, and we're building a house at the same time. So the cash flow and just managing and navigating all that, and then children and all that stuff. So always hearing that openness out of you guys is always a great thing. I just love that so much. I think it's, again, that's super important to me that we convey that. And so when I see somebody else doing that they're not, just of this facade or veneer of perfection or everything is fine. Everything's the meme around the weekend was, the dog and the burning house or whatever. Like everything is fine.
That's the meme of the weekend.
Yeah, that was so funny. And so you folks always always keeping that at the forefront of the reality of things is always endearing to me, and I am grateful for that, and it's best for the community, honestly. So that's put out there, I believe. So I would definitely cheer you for that.
And I think just like your guys' general spirit, like you guys you had a lot of transparency about the house and how emotional that's been, from day one when you bought the property and you were really excited. And then, all the things happened with pricing going up. And you guys are really good about sharing your wins, and you're really good about the transparency to get to those wins. But then also, I think what I gain most from even just talking to you guys here or on the phone or even in our text group, it's these guys just keep going. No matter what, and Brian, you somehow pull that into every LAL thing I've been, but it's you just got to keep going. You can't give up. I don't let Liz give up. I don't the kids are never going to give up. You just keep pushing forward. And that's what I gain pretty much every time we hang out is there's always somewhere to go.
We're just too stupid to quit.
Yeah. Right, so I'm sure Brad and Tammy have a tool in the tool belt to recognize that workaholic or character flaw or whatever it probably is if you quantify it. I told Liz when we were coming down here on Thursday or Friday, and thank you for the kind words. That my rebuttal to that is on Thursday or Friday, Emmy got a toy that Liz bought. It was a fake laptop. And now she runs around going, Emmy's working. Emmy's working. And she walks around now with her phone going, Emmy's working. I'm talking business.
I'm on a phone call.
I'm talking business. So,
which also is not a great.
So I don't.
We've kind of questioned. We're I
told Liz, I said,
okay.
we might mess our kids up a couple different ways, but at least I feel like they won't be poor.
Yeah.
So we might be able to solve a couple problems for them. But we still have a lot of other great things we still need to.
There's worse habits for them to pick up.
Created a couple.
Yeah, broke a few generational curses and probably creating a few new ones. So hopefully Brad and Tammy's kids take over their business and we can keep the genes and the legacy going for 50 more years.
There are worse habits that they could pick up from you. You know what I mean? That's not one of the worst ones, I would say.
Emmy needs to start a lemonade stand for your workers at the house.
She desperately wants to. We went to there's an entrepreneurial kids
coolest thing we've ever seen. There's
at our farmers market,
a kids day, entrepreneur market.
Oh,
it was
awesome.
so fun, and she saw other kids getting money for lemonade, which are two of Emmy's favorite things right now is money and lemonade. And
we have no idea about the money thing.
She found money in Nassau. She found
she did. She's convinced it's a pirate coin.
Heck yeah.
It pretty much is.
So she wants to do a lemonade stand. And I think we're going to do one once we get in the house and just have our friends come over and pretend with her. And then we're growing lots of tomatoes this year. And she might be able to do a little farm stand next year if we get a little bit more organized. So
you should do a lemonade stand for her birthday.
We're learning.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You should do a lemonade stand for her birthday.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh, she would love that.
She would love that. She would be more than happy to serve everybody lemonade and make money. We don't even know why. It must be in the genes of something, But
yeah, right. Where's that come from?
All things being said, thank you for the kind words. Hopefully, it was a relatable talk. It's always nice just being transparent, candid, and people who pay good money to come to things. I always feel like they deserve a little bit more than just sometimes what you get on a podcast or a YouTube video. So that's why you got to go. Not everything that is able to be said is always available to you for free. It doesn't work that way. I always tell people you can invest money and go to different things, and there's higher level thoughts and education and information out there. And
there's been points in our business for anybody listening up until very recently, it was always a stretch for us to do something like attending an event like this.
Way out of our comfort zone.
Going to Equip was a stretch for us at one point. And in a lot of ways, money aside, it still is. So, but it was always worth it. We always got the harder it is to get somewhere, the more you seem to get out of it, the more worth it becomes somehow. And so I know probably a lot of people stretched to get there this weekend. And I feel confident saying, just through talking to people, that I know it was worth it for them. And I hope if you're listening to this and you're considering coming next year, that you'll take the leap and come hang out with us. So.
Yeah. I just want to add one line in here, and then I'm going to give it back to Caleb and Brittany for like last thoughts, if you guys want to share anything that's on your mind. But one thing relating to like a professional or a coach, or even Brad and Tammy, like I remember I was in a backyard with Mike Bedell, one of my friends and mentors, and we were talking about something, we were bidding something, and he's got a horticulture background and very educated, very like traditional schooling, very, very smart, tons of extra education on his time, right? And we were in this backyard, and I was talking to him. I said, "Hey, what do you notice going on back here in this backyard? Like, give me your macro. What do you think about when you come back here?" And he goes, "Well, what do you think?" And I go, "Well, the grass is tall." I said, the bushes could be trimmed, needs a little bit of work. And I said, "So what do you see?" And he goes, "Well," and he identified like 10, 12, 13 things. He goes, "Well, that tree over there has girdling on the roots." He goes, "That tree doesn't look healthy based on how the leaves are looking. It could use some fertilization," whatever it was. "This is going on over here." And he just had like this scientific or different tools in the toolbox approach of like looking at this backyard. And although like I had been in the industry for 10 years, I was looking at things through my lens. He was able to just look at things through his lens and realize there's 5 or 10 more things going on that site that I just didn't have the ears to hear, the eyes to see. And I think that's really like my biggest takeaway or analogy I can give to anybody is like, just because you've been married for 10 years doesn't mean somebody else doesn't have a whole bunch of thoughts or tips or tools or suggestions about how to help you have a better marriage. And I know it's kind of not even a weird, but kind of taboo topic is to say, I'm going to go to marriage coaching or marriage counseling, or I'm going to go to something else. I know, Caleb, that's one of your hot buttons. I'll just tee it up to you. But, you say, "Hey, I'm going to a Dan Martell conference," and everybody's going to high five you. And then, you say, "I'm going to go to a marriage conference or marriage counseling," and people say, "Man, I don't know if they're going to make it. That's weird.
Something must be wrong."
Something must be wrong. And so that's just a very interesting perspective. I remember you guys sharing about that. But that was just my last takeaway that I thought I'd share really quick as we land the plane. But I'll kick it over to you guys to give up your last thoughts or opinions if you guys want.
I think the big thing is to really consider, like you said, Liz, too, of like if it might have been a stretch for some folks to come, but I don't think, and I would very strongly bet, I would willingly bet that everyone walked away without regret this weekend. And I would really encourage you to consider Together in the Trades next year. If this is something, again, if you don't work with your spouse in a company, you're still bringing that stress home, or they're still bringing the stress home. And this whole thing is aimed at helping folks deal with that and figure out how to fall forward and push through it. And this is a great quote from LAL last year. I think it was last year, but it was Jeff Joyner, best I know. But like, I used to think like having, business and marriage were kind of almost diametrically opposed, right? Like good business, good marriage. And a quote from Joyner that I really liked was, have a great marriage because you have a business, and have a great business because you have a marriage. And it was like, oh, that's so not the way I framed. I just thought it was always a fight, a battle, but they can be in tandem, like Brad and Tammy might say. They can both be good equally and great even because of each other, not in spite of each other. And I would encourage you folks to consider Together in the Trades for next year. Where it's going to be determined. But I really would encourage. And this is one of the things Brian mentioned. We don't do it for the money. That's for darn sure. It is really one of those things. I forget how good I felt, and it fades away because life just goes so crazy, But after Big Sky, I forgot I felt like this last year after Big Sky. I just felt so good. The feedback is so good from everyone, and like you helped us. It's like, man, isn't that what it's about, right? And so the philanthropic arm of the Aumans and Fullertons, I believe, is here at Together in the Trades, because it's not about the money, that's for sure. And And it's just such a fulfilling event to be part of. So I'd really, really encourage you to consider it, folks.
Brittany, any final thoughts?
Nope, you guys wrapped it up.
Yeah, well, thanks for logistically. I know you quarterbacked a ton. I know Liz was also somebody who quarterbacked a ton.
Absolutely.
But
I think with us building the house and everything else and having crew, and you guys really did take some reins on this, so thank you.
Brittany took the, I'd say, the brunt of it.
Yeah.
Probably the best way to describe it. So thank you.
Thank you guys for doing this with us for 4 years in a row now.
Yeah.
That's our pleasure.
We all can't get divorced. It'd be really awkward.
Really awkward.
If
the ultimate irony. The ultimate irony.
Yep. So I always tell Liz, I said, we have to hold our crap together. So we hold a marriage conference. Like, you can't, I'll be a lot of things in life, but I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'll tell you that. So, but I digress. So
anyway,
well, that being said, appreciate you guys listening in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode and a little debrief. There's no way you can bring it all back. That's why we always say it's just like a concert. You got to go to have the experience. And hearing the CD a week later, or a month later, it's not the same experience. So togethertrades.com is normally where the tickets will be sold. So we'll get a queue up for 2025. And once we know, you'll know.
Yeah, if you want to follow along for more information as it comes out about location and all the details for next year, the first place to see that will be on Together in the Trades on Instagram.
Okay, cool deal. And we're contemplating going south. We're contemplating going west. There's a lot of places we could go. So we'd actually love to hear your feedback too. If you guys want, shoot us a DM on Instagram, and love to hang out with you guys wherever we may go next year, summer. So don't forget to check out part 1, which was a lot of meat and potatoes too about what the speakers were sharing from day 1. So Kid Contractor Podcast, go check them out, give them a follow. And that's what we got. We'll wrap it up here. You guys have a beautiful rest of the day. We'll catch up with you guys here on the next one.
Before you turn off the podcast, there are 2 things that we believe you will be highly interested in. First, if you're looking to stay up to date with the latest trends and insights in the world of lawn care, then you'll want to subscribe to our free email newsletter. It shows up in your inbox 3 times a week and includes a Monday motivational to kick off your week, a Wednesday what's new to keep you informed, and a Friday weekly recap of all the content we put out. The second thing is we have just launched Lawntrepreneur Academy Link. Now you can be a part of an exclusive community that links you to those who can help you grow in your lawn care business. Joining Lawntrepreneur Link will give you the tools that you need to stay accountable, get real-time expert advice, and find belonging in a community of folks who are passionate about the lawn care industry just like you. Visit LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com to learn how Link membership gives you unique access to monthly hangouts, bidding hour calls, coaching calls, expert lessons, and more. Stay ahead of the curve and level up your business with a membership to the Lawntrepreneur Academy Link. Find an easy-to-use link in the podcast description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.